Oh, yeah. Yeah, we should do that. I did tell you, and I tried to follow directions. If you could clip that on
Would you like one?
Thank you. Okay. Sorry about the technical snafu. Today we have with us Luann Donor, which I'm getting used to saying because I knew her previously as Luann Gould, but now she's Luann Donor. Luann is going to be the site director, or I guess that's what you call it.
Center director.
Center director for the Catherine Hershey School that's planned for the previous Reams Elementary. She has a long background in early childhood development, and she hails from Palmyra, and she's here to tell us about what the Catherine Hershey School is and does.
Thank you very much. I do have pamphlets. I don't want to waste them if somebody doesn't want them, but they're here. You're welcome to take one with you, take a look at it. Actually, I didn't know this was a money giving thing. I wasn't told ahead of time. So I'm very happy to be here. If I had cash, I would have put my dollar in. I am with Catherine Hershey Schools for Early Learning. So I am the Elizabethtown Center Director. There is a lovely picture, which John just pretty much already told you everything about that. I live in Palmyra now, but I'm actually, sorry, I forget about the microphone up here. I'm actually basically from York County. I've lived there the majority of my life, working with our early Head Start, and pre-K counts program. So today I just want to tell you a little bit about Catherine Hershey Schools, if you haven't already heard about them, how we got to where we are, our approach, and our next steps, and then I'll try to answer any questions that I can for you. I'm glad that he introduced me, because when I came in to this gentleman up here, I said I was Luann Gould. So I'm still trying to get used to it. I only got married a week and a half ago. So yeah, so. All right, so our mission at Catherine Hershey Schools is to create high-quality early learning communities that nurture, educate, and empower children and families in social and financial need to lead fulfilling and productive lives. And I specifically read that because I don't want to leave any of that out. It's very important. Our early learning community, yes, we focus, as you can see on here, on our children, but we also really focus on our families, which I'll tell you a little bit more about. We provide a year-round, non-residential, educational, social, and cognitive program to children from ages birth, so technically 6 weeks, they have to be 6 weeks to come in, up to the age of 5, from under-resourced and overburdened backgrounds with all costs covered. So a couple things that I do like to point out, that if you're talking to anybody in the community with Catherine Hershey, a lot of people confuse us. We are obviously a subsidiary of Milton Hershey, and I'll get into that, but Milton Hershey is a boarding school, right? The children can stay there year-round, but they don't have to, but they live there. We do not keep these babies overnight. We are very happy to give them back to their families at the end of the night, or at the end of the day. But we are year-round. We're open basically Monday through Friday from 7 a.m. to 6 p.m. And so we have children in our care from that time. And it is all costs covered. So, as I mentioned, it is Milton Hershey's birthday today. Catherine's was in, oh gosh, I'm trying to think now. We celebrated hers too, and I'm going to get called on that. Hers was just a month or so ago. But CHS is part of the $350 million initiative from Milton Hershey Schools to initially develop the 6 early childhood centers. We are a subsidiary of Milton Hershey. We are staffed and operated independently of the MHS model, okay? So our money comes from the trust, but we are a completely separate entity. CHS children will not automatically be admitted to Milton Hershey School. We do have a plan to transition any of our kindergarten-bound children, families, to the school of their choice. So whatever district they're in, we will assist them with that. We actually start when they're 4 years old to kind of get the parents ready to understand what is involved. Some schools still have part-day kindergarten, those kinds of things. So they might have to budget for childcare. They might have to make arrangements. However, if they want to apply to MHS, we will also walk alongside them in that endeavor. We did have a couple children from our first year at Hershey apply to MHS, and they are going there, but only a couple. So our CHS leadership, I'm going to start actually with Senate. He is our executive director. He is a former Milt, so he is a graduate of Milton Hershey School. He oversees all of the Catherine Hershey schools. Right now, as I'll show you, we have 6 in the works in central Pennsylvania. And then Pete Gerd, President Gerd, oversees both Milton Hershey and Catherine Hershey. He is the president over both. He is also a former Milt, graduated in 1985. So these are where our locations. I actually just drove from the Hershey location right down the road to get here. I'm assisting right there while that is open. They're in their second year of operation. Just started our second program year. It's so exciting. And then Harrisburg opened this week, opened on Monday. So our Harrisburg location opened on Monday. And the next one up is Middletown. That's opening in 2025. So we started in Dauphin County first, and then we get to move to the great Lancaster County. Our first one in Lancaster County most likely will be New Danville. That is the nice thing about what you'll notice the difference with our Lancaster County ones, they're all rebuilds. None of them are freestanding or new builds. So New Danville is the former Lancaster Mennonite School. Lancaster City is a conglomerate of buildings. That one's going to be super interesting. It is on the corner of North Plum and East Walnut, so it'll look nothing like what it looks like now. It's three separate buildings, but because they're historical buildings, we have to work around a lot of that. So a lot of that will still be there, but it'll look a little bit different. And then my favorite, of course, Elizabethtown, is proud to say we're the former Reams Elementary School. Originally, we were going to be a new build, and when this became available and we were aware of it, we pretty quickly switched to that, and I'm super excited because I think it's super important that we're a part of our neighborhood, that we're in the community and not, as much as I love to be in just a beautiful building in a beautiful field, I think it's really important for the children to be in their surroundings. It doesn't want to move anymore. Oh, whoops, I lied. In November of 22 is when we actually announced that we were coming to Lancaster County. So it's been almost 2 years since we made that announcement. So it's getting excited. I started with Catherine Hershey Schools in June of 22. So I've been there 2 years. I don't think I touched anything. Maybe.
I don't think you did either. Okay, keep going.
There we go. Oh, I guess there is a video. I lied. I didn't know it was a video. I'm so sorry. This was the announcement. So if it plays, if not, I'll go through it.
Yeah, it's probably going to hang up because of the Wi-Fi.
Well, we'll just go on. It just shows the announcement when we did the official announcement that we were coming to Lancaster County. As I mentioned, year-round, weekdays, Monday through Friday. I mentioned all this. We do serve each of our locations, with the exception of New Danville, serves up to 150 children. 6 weeks to 5 years old, and employs up to 80 employees. So they're pretty big sites. New Danville will have at the time 100 children, and it's just because of the size of the building right now. There is room to expand there if they feel the need is there, but right now it'll be 100 children. So we have minimum admission qualifications very similar to MHS. They have to come from an income eligible family. They have to be 6 weeks to 4 years there. It says 4 years to be admitted, obviously, to get that full year of development in, and have the ability to participate and benefit from the program. As I mentioned, we work with the families. We are a 2-generational approach, so our families do have to set goals. That is part of the enrollment agreement that they sign. And at Hershey, we've already seen some pretty amazing success. With some of them going back to school, getting different jobs, those kinds of things. So it's really exciting. Our approach, as we mentioned, high quality teaching and learning. That's what most people think. That's all we do is have the children there and get them ready for kindergarten. And while that is extremely important, and that is a huge part of what we do, that family success 2-generational approach is just as important. We know the impact that early childhood education gives for those children, but if we don't help break the cycle of poverty for the parents, it's a whole lot trickier. They're not as likely to come out of it. We also provide whole child support, so we have health and nutrition, early intervention, we have transportation, we have a nurse on site, we have physical therapy, speech, and OT on site. We also measure our outcomes, so we know we're investing a lot of money in this, and we can't just, do it and say, oh well. We have a partnership with a local evaluator and a longitudinal study, so we're really looking at what we're doing. Are we doing it well? Are we getting the results, the return on our investment? Are we helping the communities? Oops. This is just an example of one of our play areas. Each of our age groups has their own playground. We also have indoor gross motor rooms. We know active play is a very important part of early childhood, and so we have multiple spaces for that. I feel like I'm pushing it the wrong way. I'm so sorry. This is a typical classroom that you would see, although I have to tell you it's like a little condensed version. It's not quite that narrow. But again, everything is child size. What you will see is we really encourage family style dining. So introducing children to new foods, getting them used to foods that they're not normally accustomed to, having those conversations. Up in the right hand side, oops, maybe it's not on this one. It might be the next one. It shows a nurse's suite, but it shows what our typical classroom will look like. This is what we call our Family Success Center. So our families can come in, they have space. We have a gentleman that comes into the Hershey Center several times a week because it's quiet in the Family Success area, and he studies for his exam that he wants to take to be an X-ray technician. So we provide that space. We have a lending library, we have meeting spaces, we frequently have, thinking towards the E-Town when we open, we have our community partners come in and set up shop. We have that can offer services to our families. That is a rendering of what the Reams Elementary will look like. A little bit different as far as the lobby goes. This piece is still very similar, just that, putting, you could speak to it more, John, than I could, but all the terms, but for the most part, it's going to be very similar. We're not really structurally changing the building at all, other than the lobby. And that's as if you were walking into the lobby. So again, just mentioning, these are the ones that we've opened or where we're at. Lancaster County is set to open starting in 2026. So it seems far off, but I'm anxiously awaiting it. We also hire our staff up to a year ahead of time and do a lot of professional development as well. So even though it's a long time off, there's still a lot to be done. And the lovely thing about all of these children that you saw in these pictures in this slideshow, they're all our children and staff. This is the newest staff. This is Middletown that was just hired. So what can we do? As I mentioned already, I need to learn more about the Elizabethtown community, and that is part of the reason why we come on so early, so we can start engaging with the communities if we're not from them. So connect with organizations and resources that are in the community. We do have a whole department at our central office called our Family and Community Engagement Partnerships. We have a manager for that, so she kind of helps connect me and gets the ball rolling. But we certainly want to collaborate with the community and bring in resources from the community. And then so really I feel like that's on me, the top part. On the bottom part, and from the community, just help spread our word that we are coming, what we do provide to our children and families, and kind of get that information out there. And information, not misinformation. We're not keeping babies overnight or anything like that. So, and that's about it. Any questions? Oh my goodness, yes.
So the Hershey has been open now for a year.
Mm-hmm.
It's just opened up this fall. 150 at each.
Yes, at each location.
How many applicants?
I don't have those numbers. We always get way more applicants than what we can take in. We don't particularly do a waiting list because we don't think that's fair to families. What we do is, tell them we don't have a spot for them now. We don't do like an ordered waiting list. So I don't know the number of applicants. The other thing is, and we have a very extensive admission process similar to Milton Hershey. We do home visits, we do interviews. We also have to make sure that the parents are aligned with taking part in our program because they are a significant piece of it. So it's really important. We're not just a child care center. We're not just an early education center. And I think that's where we also see where families that want to be part of it and advance their own goals, as well as have high quality education for their children. Yes?
Do you have any idea what the cost of renovations will be at Green's School?
I'm not going to speak to that.
I can answer that one. The architect for the renovations just dropped the building permits drawings off at the office. It's estimated just over $14 million for the renovation of the building, and I would assume there's probably another $750,000 to $1 million in site modification. So it's probably 15 and a half all total. Dennis, by the time they're all said and done. So,
what I can tell you, it's also less than our original investment into a new building. That's what I will. Yes. Yes.
So what are the income qualifications?
So they are federal poverty guidelines similar to MHS. Mm-hmm. Yes.
So I know Milton Hershey School has been in use for many, many years. What stimulated or what started the idea for having preschool the Catherine Hershey?
So what? Okay. So it all goes back to oh gosh, I'm trying to think of the actual terminology. So it goes back to the trust and the use of the money. And so they really wanted them to expand as far as how the money was being used. And so the only thing is some of it had to be changed because we're not strictly in Hershey. So it had to go through a very, very lengthy, couple of years long process to have it approved to put the money to this kind of use, but feeling that it would also fill the mission of Catherine and Milton Hershey. They had a whole initiative, and I can't think of the name of it off the top of my head, so I apologize. Yes?
In your two-generational approach, you talked about home visits.
Mm-hmm.
How often would there be home visits?
So we do home visits. We have different departments within Catherine Hershey School. So we have our educational, our instructional team, obviously the teachers in the classrooms. We have a health services team. We have a operations team, and then we have what we call our family success team. And so we have currently at Hershey, the model is we have 6 family success advocates that service all 150 families. So it averages about 20 to 25 families per advocate. They do 4 home visits a year. Mm-hmm. And that's not really negotiable. Yes.
So this is a nonprofit.
Correct. Yes.
Do you have, or will you have affiliations with local school departments and different?
So I don't know that affiliation is the correct word, but what we do work diligently with every school district that pours into our centers so that we are aligning. It's really important both from the professional development side of kindergarten teachers and our preschool teachers that we're on the same page as we move our children into their programs. So we are working with all the school districts as we move into those neighborhoods and into those areas. The one thing is that we primarily focus on an area that our center is in. However, it's not bound to that. So we are fully expecting that the vast majority of our children for Reams, the Elizabethtown Center, would come from Elizabethtown Area School District. It is not mandatory that they do, but our focus is that area. Yes?
Have you had any trouble finding staffing or maintaining staffing levels?
I think I would say that it's probably less than other early childhood centers. Early childhood is not the most, what's the word? I wasn't thinking of either of those, but true to both, maybe sometimes. It's sometimes a struggle. So typically, early childhood is not seen as professionals, and we're working really hard to change that. So from both what we offer to our team as far as salary and benefits and professional development training, So our retention is higher than typical early childhood centers, but do we still, face loss in that? We do, because clearly, lives change and things happen and they have to move on.
And you say you hired about a year before, so you're looking, and my soon-to-be daughter-in-law has been in childcare
Mhm.
for like 5-6 years, and again, it's not a glamorous, high-paying job.
I didn't want to say that. It's not very lucrative. That's what I wanted to say. Thank you. Lucrative was the word I was searching for.
She loves it. She
Yes.
loves it, but
Your heart has to be in it.
selfishly as to when you would start out.
So no, I mean, that's, what I will do, if you take a pamphlet, we do have, first of all, we have our own, obviously, website, but we also have something called our talent network, and then she could apply to that or subscribe to it, and it will tell you when we're hiring for, when centers are opening, when we're hiring, those kinds of things. So for example, Middletown is not fully staffed yet, but they're probably 2/3, and they are just starting their professional development period, so there's still time to bring staff on. But I would suggest that she subscribe to our talent network. That way she would see as openings become available. Sure.
Are you able to handle kids with disabilities?
So what we do, yes and no, right? So we are not a one-on-one. We can't support a child one-to-one. We're even with our low ratios, we have 3 teachers per classroom. That's still not enough to do a one-to-one care. But we have all kinds of children in our facilities. As long as we can support their needs, they can be successful, we will, Anybody else? Great questions. Thank you.
Catherine her birthday was July 6th.
Thank you.
She would have been 153, which puts her 14 years younger than me.
She was. She was quite a bit younger than Mo.
You did the math on that.
I did a little research while I was sitting here.
But if you would have taken like a trolley tour or done anything in Hershey, they always say that the starting of the Milton Hershey School was Kitty's idea. They call her Kitty, so that was her nickname. It was her idea. So very, very grateful for the opportunity that she's given to these families, that, Milton Hershey has done wonderful things for 113 years, I think now they've been in existence. We're on year 2. So for those of us that are there, I have goosebumps. It's an honor and a privilege, but it's still really hard work because they're still little children. Yes.
So here's a comment. Your first location that you were looking at was up off Beverly, which I'm a Mount Joy Township supervisor, so I was really excited.
Sorry.
So that you guys would pay for a roundabout on 743. However,
I think I've heard that a time or two.
However, I am glad that you were down it.
Yeah, honestly, I was thrilled either way. But I do, my heart and soul. So my years in York County, I spent many years in York City as in those sites, and ultimately the kids, it's better to be part of the actual community. Like I said, don't get me wrong. Right now, the Hershey site is in the middle of a field, and I come out and see deer, and I absolutely love that, and it's wonderful. But at the end of the day, I think it's more beneficial to the communities to be part of a community, to have this site right in the community.
Are you paying for the roundabout down the street?
Look, I have nothing to do with finance. I know what you're talking about. I have no idea who's paying for that. I am definitely, a center director means nothing when it comes to finances for those kinds of things. I haven't heard that. I do attend the building meetings. I joked with John that I've but most of the time it's way over my head. I'm learning things I never thought I would ever have to think about. So I just sit there and nod and say, okay. Thank you. If you don't have any other questions, I didn't bring business cards, but you can find us online, chslearn.org. Feel free to take a pamphlet. We're just so excited. Thank you so much, John, for asking us to speak today. We're so excited to be part of the community, so thank you.